My guy, what's going on?
Fellas, oh my goodness, I'm standing here on the field where the Denver Broncos just had their biggest win since Super Bowl 50, since Benny, Payton, and Vaughn were holding up the Lombardi trophy, and there's no doubt about it, and you guys have broke that down, but the Broncos locker room knows that it's the biggest win that they have had since Super Bowl 50, and man, you cannot understate the importance of this win. The Broncos were a very confident team going in, but Sean always says you get confidence by demonstrated ability. So the Broncos had to beat the Chiefs in order to take that next step. Jaquan said it, Sean said it, Bo said it, but Sean, who doesn't want to give in to narratives all that often, said, I would be lying to you if I did say this was a big win. So the Broncos needed this, and boy, did they do it in tremendous fashion. The Broncos' game-winning field goal that was blocked last year was a 35-yard field goal. The one that Will Lutz hit today to beat them was a 35-yard field goal, and that is so poetic for the Broncos to find a decade-long run at the top of the AFC West by doing it in a fashion that they did it last year, and now they officially got it done this year. And Will Lutz knew. He said, when I was walking out there, I knew it was a 35-yard field goal, the exact same one that got our hearts crushed last year, and he had an opportunity to overcome that, and he did it. The Broncos did it. When he was walking out there, he said, shoot, here we are, knowing how poetic it was. And guys, this just solidifies that the Broncos are Super Bowl contending, legitimate Super Bowl contending team. This also knocks off the Chiefs from having any shot. It changes the narrative around the Broncos. And the Broncos, not only are they the number one seed in the AFC West, they're the number one seed in the AFC. If the playoffs were to start right now, you got to come into this building. And speaking of this building, guys, Sean Payton said, for the first time as a coach, I felt like this building was really, really loud, and the fans did it today. So he needs those type of fans to show up every single week moving forward. 3 games at home, 3 games on the road left, and Broncos country controls their own destiny for that number one seed, which is just incredible.
Hey, Zach, what did Sean say the difference was? Obviously, all 3 phases played a huge part in the game today. Did Sean talk about what was the difference and how they approached the 3 days off?
Yeah, well, Benny, that was a huge thing. This was a game in all 3 phases, and Will Lutz said that special teams changed the game. He told Darren Rizzi that walking off the field, and he said the biggest play that was made on special teams was Frank Crum. So you can put Frank Crum up there because that was a big difference in this game, blocking the extra point to keep it a one-possession game. Then obviously the Broncos were able to tie it with just a field goal. And Benny, this was probably the most complete game that we've seen from the Broncos. So it wasn't necessarily something on offense, something on defense. It was just all 3 units played really well, and that's how you get to a 22-19 win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And guys, this Chiefs team, man, they will be nervous if they have to play the Broncos in the playoffs because they will be playing in Denver. And man, at the end of the game, just to get you into some of the coaching of what was said there, Benny, Jaquan took us into that final sack that he had. And the game plan for the defensive side coming in was simple, Jaquan told us. It was just play fast. And so when Vance dialed up that corner blitz for Jaquan, he said he knew Patrick Mahomes wasn't going to know it was coming, but he knew a little tip because when Mahomes did something with his hands that meant he was going to snap the ball, so he got a little read on it, got that jump, and flew in. And I loved Jaquan's mentality after the game because this was a guy that was drafted to be hurt. This was a guy that in the offseason, they drafted someone in the first round to bench Jaquan. And he said, I've had the same mentality this whole time. J-Mac's going to be J-Mac. And boy, did that J-Mac really, really show up today. And his attitude after wasn't about proving the Broncos wrong for drafting Jade. It was, he said about that sack, it was a wonderful play to make for my team. How cool is that? When it could have been a him against the team, him against the organization moment there. No, it was about him for the team. And that shows you the special camaraderie that this team's got going on right now.
Man, the Broncos are 9-2 and the Chiefs are 5-5, and Patrick Mahomes is tipping pitches. I love my life.
Yes.
Zach, what did Bo have to say after the game?
Oh man, Bo was very, very confident, gave so much love to his receivers, despite his receivers letting him down in the first half, guys. Bo Nix was 10 of 15 at halftime, but he was playing a lot better. Bo was dialed in all game long. You can't just look at the stat sheet, although 295 yards, pretty damn impressive. But passer rating does not reflect just how good he was. And how about at the end of the game? That pass to Troy Franklin was not designed to go to Troy Franklin. They took away Cortland Sutton, who was Bo's first read, and then he hit Troy right there, and Troy came down with a big-time catch. Bo's feeling himself, as he should, after a game like this, because, guys, he has a winning record against the Kansas City Chiefs, 1-1 against Patrick Mahomes, and he has done everything in his power to be 2-0 against Patrick Mahomes. This team believes in Bo, and we saw a really, really good game from him today, including another game-winning drive. This guy is so clutch down the stretch. Jaquan talked about it. He said, man, we know we're going to give the ball back to the offense. We know the offense is going to score. And Bo said the exact same thing. With this defense, that's where it starts, because we know they're going to get stops at every single point that we need them to. And then we're going to have an opportunity. And that's exactly what happened. And Will Lutz, 5 for 5 today as well. It was just glorious performance all the way around.
Zach, you talked about Bo and how confident he was. What was the difference in his game, or what was the difference in the play calling? Because he looked very calm. The moment did not look too big for Bo at all today. Talk about what Sean said about him. What did Sean see? And then what was different just about the play calls?
Yeah, well, Benny, Sean's never going to tell you that something was different with Bo, because he believes Bo is the guy, whether it's a good game or not. So he didn't tip his hand anyway about Bo. But what I'll tell you is, Benny, we just might be seeing something about Bo, that when the moment rises, his temperature falls. He's just even cooler and calmer. And that's been in the fourth quarter this year. He's been fantastic in every single fourth quarter. But then when the moment of the game rises, look, the Broncos knew how big of a game this was, just like we knew. This was the biggest game in arguably a decade for the Broncos coming into it. And Bo knew that. And so he played the entire game kind of with that heightened sense of the moment, which just makes him even cooler. The good news is, in the playoffs, the games are going to be even bigger than this, as Sean Payton kept reminding the team how big of a game this was, but the Broncos are going to play it bigger. And so maybe it's just a secret formula that Bo's got within himself, but that plays perfect in January and February.
I love it. Zach, did you notice that Sean was celebrating before they even kicked the field goal?
I did not. That's it. I mean, that just shows the confidence that he has in Will Lutz, though. And we saw that against the Houston Texans when he's barking at Lutz to kick that. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a little message towards Will here. And also for the block unit as well, because we know what happened in Kansas City last year, and it was the exact same situation.
Yeah, I was curious if someone might have noticed that and asked him about it, because I think that's what it was. Like, you know, everyone treats their kickers differently. Some coaches say, like, oh, I don't even talk to the kicker. Like, not my problem, not my business. But I love that Sean has like a close relationship with Will. And I think that maybe when that comes out and he's asked about it later, he'll be like, yeah, like, I'm pouring confidence into Will, saying like, it's over. Like, he literally was going like this, like celebrating on the sidelines before they even lined up for the kick.
Well, and that's just Sean knowing his players and building the culture that he has, and why, for I think the first 10 years of his career, Sean Payton had a new kicker every single year until he met Will Lutz, and then he has been his kicker every single year since, and that's what you need. We saw it with B-Mac with the Broncos in the Super Bowl 50 run, 10 for 10 in the playoffs. Obviously, Will hasn't been perfect this year, but he has been the AFC Special Teams Player of the Month. He's looking at AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Again, you have Frank Crum come up big on special teams. You have Marvin Mims, who's back, and boy, was it great for Broncos special teams to have Marvin Mims as well. But you are going to need big nuts Lutz for this playoff run here.
Zach, how is Sean approaching the bye week with the guys?
They're going to get the entire week off. They might be in tomorrow just to wrap up today's winning game, but then they will be off Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sean thinks it's very important because he grinds his players. He knows it, so it's important to give them time off as well. That's how Sean has handled it. Now, he gets it from Andy Reid, who does that with his players too, and damn, it's worked pretty well for Andy Reid up until today. Guys, what's Andy Reid's record coming off a bye in the last game? 0 for 1 because he had to play the Denver Broncos after this. And guys, this just shows how big of a win this was for the narrative. Broncos #1 seed in the AFC, #1 seed in the AFC West, have a 2-game lead over the Los Angeles Chargers, have a 3.5-game lead over the Kansas City Chiefs, knock the Chiefs to 9th in the AFC, catapult themselves to 1, gives them confidence. But guys, it just continues to point to that. It's just this internal belief that this team has right now. And they did it in the toughest stage. Sean Payton said he was watching NFL Today in the pregame show, and Bill Coward said, look, the Broncos, they're just playing with house money right now. They don't need to win this game, but the Chiefs do. And Sean said, shh, I don't want to hear that right now. But he's right. Bill Coward was right. The Chiefs had so much more to play for, and the Broncos did not need this game, and they still won it. The Chiefs were the desperate team, and the Broncos still overcame that. So in so many ways, whether it's in the standings, whether it's the narrative, whether it's the belief, whether it's all of these extra things, this Broncos win was so unbelievably big. And it goes back to last year when they lost to the Chiefs. Sean talked about that after today's game when the field goal at the end was blocked. He said, that's when I knew this group was special, was because of how we responded during the game and right after the game. And of course, the Broncos went on a little roll right after that. Well, this game is going to be pointed to a lot because it's going to point to the Broncos being 9-2, knocking off the Chiefs. Many Broncos said this in the locker room after the game. If we knew that if we wanted to get to our ultimate goal, we had to go through this team. And the Broncos did that. Bo Nix said, if you're scared, some people say if you're scared, go to church, in response to what it means about playing the Chiefs and their mentality coming in. Well, the Broncos weren't scared. They were the ones that delivered the boom on offense, defense, and special teams. And now they get a bye week totally off to enjoy this before coming back and playing 2 bad teams as they try for the #1 seed in the AFC.
Let's go, man. Zach, appreciate you for being on the show and tapping in with us. What a win. It's a hell of a time to be a Denver Broncos fan.
It is a hell of a time. And one final thing that Sean Payton made clear. He said, we were without some key guys. Obviously, Pat Surtain, the Defensive Player of the Year, Alex Singleton, the guy that is your voice on the defense, and J.K. Dobbins, which he did not give an update on. But the Broncos were without key players, and he made sure to make it known that the Chiefs were pretty much at full strength outside of Isaiah Pacheco, and we still won. That's what Sean's message was. Man, it's a hell of a time to be a Broncos fan right now because the Broncos are in the best spot they've been in over a decade, and they are the best team in the AFC and arguably the best team in the NFL right now.
Love it, Zach. Get home safe. We'll talk to you soon.
See you, Zach.
See you, fellas.